Class. Today is Monday, and as you can tell, I'm not in class today. I have a couple appointments, but what I am not doing is I am not still on spring break. It's warm. So, what I want you to start out with is to try to identify these angles as either acute, right, obtuse, or straight. One of the ways that I remember acute is little kids are cute, so small angles are acute. Right angles, we have 90 degrees. Obtuse, sometimes when you get older, you become obtuse and they are bigger. And then we have straight. So please take a minute, pause the video, talk about the types of angles that you have and see if you can identify those. Hopefully you were able to identify the first one as a right angle. It is a 90-degree angle. The second one is obtuse because it is bigger than a 90-degree angle. The third one, as you can barely see, is an acute angle because it is a smaller than 90-degree angle. And our last one is straight because it is obviously a straight line. Our essential question today is, what can you conclude about the angles formed by two intersecting lines? One of the things we are going to be talking about are specific kinds of angles other than right, acute, obtuse, and straight. The first thing that I would like for you to do is, with a partner, on a sheet of paper, draw the hands of a clock to represent the given type of angle. I want an acute angle drawn on a clock, a straight angle, a right angle, and an obtuse angle. Please pause the video. Give students a chance to come up with those and see what they can come up with. Thank you. The second thing that I want you to do after now that you've got your acute, straight, right, and obtuse angles is figure out what is the degree measure of the angle formed by the hands of the clock at the given time. So try to draw a clock at 9 o'clock. Tell me how many degrees that is. At 6 o'clock, how many degrees is that? And at 12 o'clock, see how many degrees that is. Please pause the video for students to try this. Please have a discussion about the degrees formed by those times. Hopefully for the 9 o'clock one, you had a hour hand at 9 and a minute hand at 12. This, most likely, you would have said is a right angle, which forms a 90-degree angle. At 6 o'clock, we would have the hour hand at 6, the minute hand at 12, so we would have a straight angle. And at 12, by the way, that straight angle would be 180 degrees, since it is a straight line. At 12 o'clock, we would have the hour hand at 12, we would have the minute hand at 12, and therefore we would have a 0-degree angle. In our next activity, I want you to work with a partner. Some angles, such as angle A right here, can be named by a single letter because there is only one angle A. When this does not clearly identify the angle, you should use 3 letters, like angle B, D, E. We cannot call this angle D because there are 2 different angles that are angle D. So we can say this is B, D, E. We have a point on one side, we have the vertex, which is the corner of that side, and we have a point on the other side. We could say it is also angle EDB. EDB and BDE are the same. So see if you can identify some of the letters in that angle. Try to name all right angles, all acute angles, and also all obtuse angles. Please pause the video while students try to do that, and go ahead and come back and we will have answers. Right angles. We can say it as angle A. We can say it as angle F. Another one that we can say is it's angle C. Those are all the ones that we can do by one letter. We could say this one is A, B, E. We can say that this one is C, B, E. We can say this one is E, D, C, or we could say it is C, D, E. And lastly, we can say that this one is B, E, F. Those are all right angles. acute angles. Obviously, we have the BDE angle that we can come up with. We can also say DBE right there. That's an acute angle. We could say BDC is an acute angle. And we could say angle CBD is an acute angle. For obtuse, there are a couple. One of them that we can say is angle ABD. That would be an acute angle. Excuse me, that would be an obtuse angle. And I believe that that is it for the obtuse angle. Only angle A, B, and D. How many angles are formed by the intersecting roads? Hopefully you were able to say there are 1, 2, 3, and 4. What do you notice or think about the two angles that are opposite of each other? Please pause the video and have a discussion about what students think about the angles opposite of each other. Hopefully you were able to determine that the angles opposite of each other look like they are very similar in measure. These two angles look like they are the same angle. These two angles look like they are the same as well. So today we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about. One is adjacent angles. Two angles that are adjacent when they share a common side and have a common vertex. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. Angle 1 and 4 are adjacent. Angle 3 and 4 are adjacent. Angle 2 and 4 are adjacent. The ones that are opposite are not adjacent. They are not next to each other because they do not share a same side. The second thing that we have is vertical angles. Two angles are vertical when they are opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. Vertical angles, as we saw in the last slide, are congruent, meaning they have the same measure. Angle 2 and 4 are vertical and are congruent. Angle 1 and 3 are vertical and congruent. We also can tell that these are congruent because there is one mark here and one mark here. That means they are the same measure of angles. Notice in angle 2 there are 2 marks and angle 4 have 2 marks, so those are the same. Try to name a pair of adjacent angles. Please pause the video and have a discussion about adjacent angles. Also do the same with vertical angles. Vertical angles, remember, must be opposite. Adjacent must be next to. Please pause the video and have that discussion. Here are some adjacent angles. We have an adjacent angle right here and here. We can say that these two are adjacent. We could also say that these two are adjacent. We can say that those are adjacent. And we can say these are adjacent. Really, the only ones that I am really sure that are vertical would be these two right there. However, I do believe that this angle and this angle would also be vertical as well. Please try to name 2 pairs of adjacent angles and 2 pairs of vertical angles in each figure. Reminder, adjacent means next to, vertical means opposite. Try to do 2 pairs in each. Here are some sample answers. These are adjacent. Those two are adjacent. These are adjacent. These are adjacent. Verticals would be those two and those two. In this one, there are many adjacent angles. Adjacent right there, adjacent right there, adjacent right there, here, here, and here. Remember, adjacent means next to. Vertical angles. I would say these two would be vertical angles, those would be vertical angles, as well as these could be vertical angles. In our next example, we have to tell whether the angles are adjacent or vertical, and then find out the value of x. We know, hopefully, that these two are vertical angles. Because they are vertical angles, we know that these two angles are equal. So if this is 70, we also know that that one is 70. So in the second one, or the first one, we know that those are 70. These two we know have to add up to 90 because it is a right angle. So what I know is 31 plus x plus 4 has to equal 90. There's my equation. I can then simplify my equation by adding 31 and 4 by combining the like terms. I need to get x all by itself, so I'm going to subtract that 35. When I subtract 90 minus 35, I get 55. So x in this case is 55. Please tell whether these angles are adjacent and vertical, and then find the missing value of x. Please pause the video, allow students to work, have a discussion on what they got for answers, and come back and I will have the answers for you. In this first one, we know that this is a straight line. Therefore, these two add up to 180. They are adjacent and they are 95. These two are opposites, therefore they are vertical. Opposites are equal, they are 90. This one, we know that 69 plus this equals 90. So when I write 2x minus 1 plus 69 equals 90, I then get 2x plus 68. I will subtract 90 minus 68. I will get 22, and then I will divide by 2 to get x all by itself. It is adjacent. Please do not worry about drawing the vertical angles. We'll do that when I get back. Our last problems of the day are true and false questions. What I would like for you to do is have a discussion. Vertical angles are always acute, true or false. Adjacent angles could be acute. Adjacent angles could be obtuse. Vertical angles are congruent, and adjacent angles could be congruent. Please have a discussion on true or false and come back and I will give you the answers. Vertical angles are always acute. That is false. We could have a 120-degree angle on each side. Adjacent angles could be acute. Yes, they can. We can have two angles next to each other that are like 45 degrees and 30 degrees. Adjacent angles could also be obtuse. Correct. We could have a 120 and 135. Number 4, vertical angles are congruent. That is always true. We know that the opposites are always true. And our final question, adjacent angles could be congruent. That is true also. We could have a 90-degree angle and split it in half and have 45 and 45. For your homework, your job is to try to complete workbook page 146. That will be due on Tuesday. Thanks and have a great day.